What's up, Sneeples? Just won this playmat at Battle Hardened Dallas, playing some bright lights in the limited format, playing sealed into draft, and therefore I want to come out with a new series going over more extensive knowledge into that format. And we're going to start here with draft, on how to prepare for your draft and how to win your draft. So stick with us, and in further videos we'll come out with exactly what I did for my sealed pool to give me this playmat and what I did for that draft. But let's go and get into the details of draft itself. This is the Bright Lights draft, the extensive overview, long awaited, but proudly showcasing it today. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, this is not your traditional draft set. As you can imagine, all the classes are the same. We're all gonna be drafted mechanologist heroes. Obviously different than every other set. And in this set, individual card grades are more important. And so let me go into detail what I mean by that. In other draft sets, when you have multiple classes to choose from, once you pick a class, you kind of tend to look at only cards that work for that class. So example, we're drafting Welcome to Rave, and I chose Rhinar after a while. I'm really gonna be looking at brute cards and generic cards for the most part. Well, in this draft set, every card is draftable at every point in this draft, as we are all the same class. And so not only is every card draftable for me, but it's also every card draftable for my opponent. So in order to kind of know what cards I should be picking, I can't just go based off, oh, well, this is my class, so I should pick this card. Instead, I have to look at all the cards and grade them to each other. So I have to have like A graded cards, B graded cards, C graded cards, and even F graded cards to determine what cards I should pick at every point in the draft. And we'll get into some of the grades of each cards and like what cards you should look for over certain cards. So we'll get more into that as we go on. The other thing I learned in this draft is blues are more important. And blues are important in every single draft, but in this one, what I found out is that if you're not keeping a conscientious mind on how many blues you have drafted, you might turn up with a little bit less than you prefer. That's what I found out, is that it just so happens that in most cases, in most drafts, you'll just get blues at the very end because that's the last cards that get picked because they are the worst versions. You'll just get them at the very end. Well, in this draft, because every card is draftable, you tend to not pick blues until the very, very end, which means maybe you pick for each round of draft, you get 2 blues. And that leaves you with 6 blues in total, which maybe is okay for Maxx, but if you're any other hero, that can be really rough. So you want to really keep track of how many blues you have, and sometimes picking the blues over the yellows or even over reds is necessary. So let's get into the first 5 picks. If you watch any of the how to draft videos, you know I've talked about this quite a bit. Picking the best cards in the packs of these first 5 picks is super important. Don't go in thinking that you should be Teklovossen or Maxx or Dash. You know, you can be very, very open in this draft. This draft is very, very open. It allows you to pick your hero at a later point, which is very nice. It allows you to have time to determine what hero is best for the spot that you're in. Don't commit to any hero just yet, just kind of what I was just going over. And then pay attention to what cards you're passing as well as what cards being passed to you. This goes for like Evo equipments, items, Hyperdriver synergy. You know, these are all cards that work with one particular hero better than the other heroes. So if you're passing like a good item card that would work particularly well with Dash, then you probably should expect your neighbor to be Dash. Or if you're getting past some like Evo cards, well, then there's a good chance that your neighbor might not be Teklovossen and that you can be Teklovossen. Just kind of keep an eye on what's getting passed to you and what you're passing. And then by pick 5, you should have some idea of what hero is open and what hero is not. Now, the beauty about this draft set is that, like I said, it is very open. So If by pick 5 you choose to be one hero and it's not really looking good, you can make a shift, you can switch heroes. This draft set is very open and allows you to do that and not get punished because all cards are playable within all heroes, so you're not going to lose picks. And as long as you have your hero pretty well determined by pack 2, then you should be fine. Alright, let's talk about the best cards, getting into what the first 5 cards, what you should be picking. So first are Majestic Bombs. Steel Soul Evos are all Majestic Bombs. These are very good cards that you want to see, especially for Teklovossen. Prismatic Lens, Quantum Processor, Stasis Cell. These are great dash Majestic Bombs that could be played in any hero, by the way, just tends to work a little bit better with dash. And then Maximum Velocity, Moonshot, Twin Drive, these tend to work better with Max Nitro. These are all very good. Now with Majestic Bombs, you're probably not going to get past any of them. These are probably going to be your pack 1 pick ones. Just kind of keep that in mind. If you get past one of these cards, and it's like that's a very good indicator that, you know, whatever card that works best with, like if it was like the Steel Soul, very good indicator that you should probably be Teklovossen because your neighbor isn't. If you don't get past any of these or you don't open Majestic Bomb, that's okay. We'll look for our next cards we're looking for is Overpower. Cards that have the Overpower ability. Hydraulic Press, Overload Script, Bull Bar. These are all cards that have that Overpower ability that we want to see. Overpower is the best mechanic in this set and is a great way to close out games. So you definitely want to hold that as high priority, give that a high grade so that you can look for that first before other cards. We don't have any Majestic Bombs, we don't have any Overpower in our pack. What next do we look for? Generic Bombs. And what I mean by this is cards that can work with any hero. So Heist is a very good generic bomb. It's a card that works with any hero very well. Spring a Leak is a very good anti-mech card, which all your opponents are going to be mechologist, so this works awesome. Gigawatt works with any mechologist attack, so it works with weapons attack too, so it works with every hero. And then Overloop and Underloop are both good red boost cards. These aren't totally the best cards, but these cards are open within all heroes, and that's why they should be a little bit more prioritized than other cards that are out there. Alright, let's talk about the heroes of Bright Lights, then we'll talk about what cards are good with what heroes. So we got Teklovossen. He is working with the Evo equipment, has big attacks and a fatigue playstyle. Dash database has items. You're looking to get multiple attack action points by playing him at instant speed, setting up a board presence, and then shooting your gun multiple times a turn. And then Max Nitro, you're gonna try to boost a couple times or come in with a couple attacks, working with your hyper drivers, and then coming in with Banksy to give your Quake items another steam counter. So let's get into Teklovossen. So the draft recap, you want 8 to 10 Evos equipments, get your big attack Evo synergy cards, then your scrap cards, and then try to get about 10 blues. Evo equipment is the easiest identifier if he is open or not. Basically, if you are past Evo equipments, then that's a good sign that he is open. In regards to the Evo equipments that you want to see, such as Steel Souls, as well as the Sentry base Evo's equipment, these are the top 2 out there. And then you got Evo Command Center, Evo Engine Room, Smoothbore, and Thruster. These are all graded A or above. If you get past one of these, it's a great identifier that he's open. If you're not past one of these, then he might not be open for you. Truly, you want to see some good Evo equipments. You want to try to get those 8 to 10 Evos equipments in your deck because equipping 3 Evos as soon as possible is really the game plan. The sooner you get 3 Evos out, the sooner you can start shooting your gun and then coming in with an attack without having a boost. This works super effective, as well as it works better with your Evo synergy cards, like your Liquid Cooled Mayhem, Heavy Artillery, Mechanical Strength. All these cards work best when you have 3 or more Evos. So let's get into the good graded cards of Teklovossen, the cards we definitely want to see. We already mentioned the Evo equipments. That is the Steel Soul ones. That's first. I would say second is the Sentry base, and then third would be the command center, engine room, smoothbore, and thrusters. These are all like an A grade. The data mine, battery pack, cog splitter, and charging rod, these aren't bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. I would give them like a B grade. And then the Zoom Call, Buzz Hive, Whiz Bang, and Zipline. These are EVOS equipments that you typically see get cycled. I would give those more of a C grade. Let's talk about the Evo upgrade cards, the big heavy hitters. These are cards that you're going to want to have to finish the game. Obviously, the Annihilatory Engine, Terminator Tank, and War Machine. These are going to be your A grades for sure, as well as Demolition Protocol, Post-Wave Protocol, and Magnetic Protocol. All A cards. Heavy Artillery, A card. And this one's a rare, so it's a little bit more draftable. You'll see more of these. Heavy Artillery is such a good card, such a good way to end the game. Liquid Cooled Mayhem, this could be a 0 for 6 or 1 for 6. Very, very good card, another A grade. Mechanical Strength, another A grade. Maybe a minus with Mechanical Strength, but still just very good. Even if you have no EVOS equipments, the red is a 3 for 5, which isn't amazing, but isn't like the absolute worst. These are all the A graded cards that you want to see. Past that, with Teklovossen, you're just looking at your boost cards. You're not going to be drafted items. Items are probably about a C grade, with the exception of Mini Force Field. Maybe that's a B grade. You're going to be drafting everything else that works with scrap, as well as is a blue pitch. Ideally, you want to try to block for 3 as much as possible, just because it becomes a lot easier. Scrap Compactor, that card's, I would say, is a solid B. Scrap Harvester, you know, that's probably the red's B and the rest is a C. At this point, it doesn't quite really matter what you play. You just want to make sure you get your scrap cards, basically. Your A cards are your EVOS equipments and your EVO synergy cards. Okay, let's get into the matchups for Teklovossen. So Teklovossen, if you're facing the mirror, it's a race to get a full set of armor. Whoever gets that third EVOS equipment out there first has a better chance of winning. Your big attacks help to take the tempo, so these are like your heavy artilleries, your mechanical strengths. Overpower and heavy artilleries are finishers that should be pitch stacked. So that is something that you want to consider. Can go to it. Dash database. This is where you want to play a little bit more aggressive in this one. And the reason is that you don't really want Dash to have setup. She is the hero that can be the tricky one. There is no attack reactions or defense reactions in this set, and the way that she plays almost like allows for attack reactions. So you want to try to be aggressive so that she doesn't have the resources to do exactly that. So try to attack at least twice a turn, every turn. Hopefully you can get your equipment out sooner than later so that you can avoid boosting. But if you need a boost to play aggressive, go ahead and boost. And then Maxx Nitro, you kind of just want to hunker down and let him fatigue himself. Be aware of their pitch stack and of your own pitch stack. You definitely want to be most efficient with your equipment by blocking with it from hand and then scrapping it to then equip it so that you can block fit again. That's going to give you the most equipment block value, and that's what you're working for here. It's just to block Maxx Nitro out. All right, moving on to Dash database here. So just a draft recap, you want to get items, of course. Item synergy cards, there's quite a bit out there, and then Galvanize ain't a bad mechanic. Make sure to have a sweet spot of 10 to 13 items, no less, no more. This kind of depends on how many cards you plan on playing within your deck. Well, it depends on how many items you want, but you do want to kind of hit that sweet spot, because any less and you're not really capitalizing on Dash's ability, and any more and you can get too many items in your hand. And the game plan is to get multiple action points to shoot your gun multiple times a turn. You basically are trying to do big setup turns while being disruptive in the mix. Okay, so let's talk about the Dash A graded cards. So these are the items. We've already talked about like Prismatic Lens, Quantum Prospector, Stasis Cell. These are your majestic bombs. Tick-Tock Clock is okay. I think I would call that a B. Let's talk about some of the other ones. There's Fuel Injector, Medkit, and Steam Canisters. I like these for Dash, but I only think they're really good in Dash and not the other heroes. So I don't put these as A grade despite me liking them. I put them more as a B because I think you can pick them up in the second round at pack. Penetration Script, that's an A grade card. Backup Protocol Red. The first one's an A grade, everything else is a C grade. I think you want to try to at least have one. Boom Grenade, that is an A grade for sure. That's almost an S grade, honestly. Hadron Collider, that's a good grade as well. Give that an A. Mini Force Field, sure, give it an A. Overload Script, definitely an A. These are the items that you're really looking for as Dash. As far as the Synergize cards, Torque Tuned is super good. It has Overpower, so we like that. Give that an A grade. Red Soup Up, that's another great card. That's another A grade. Has Galvanize on top of it all. Ratchet Up, great card. Love that. That are A grade. And then yeah, obviously like Hydraulic Press. That's just so good anyways. Past that, you know, you could look for some Galvanize, look for some Scrap. Other cards that you're looking for that aren't any of those that I think are actually really good A grades is Met-X and Expedite. These cards are great cards that have an on-hit ability to put an item out. When you're Dash, they're almost like a must block. So I consider Red Expedite and Red Met-X an A grade for Dash database. Just to provide some pressure for your opponents feeling like they have to block. And that's exactly where you want them to be. As that, you're just kind of drafting, you know, other boost cards and make sure you get a decent amount of blues. Let's get into the matchups. So against Teklovossen, what you want to do is you want to try to have sneak attacks with your items. That is like playing a boom grenade off the top after, you know, your opponent has left 1 damage to sneak through. Now that 1 damage became 5 damage. Dash has a great amount of cards that have overpower that she can work with efficiently. Torque Tuned, as we mentioned, great card with overpower. You know, Hydraulic Press, all sorts of cards. Just a few turns attacking twice with the gun is very good. You know, going wide on your Teklovossen opponent can be very, very good as well. So there's a lot of stuff that Dash can do to ensure damage gets through, and that's why I think she actually has a more favorable matchup in the Teklovossen. In the mirror match, you're trying to be efficient with your damage and items, as in like you're trying to make sure to only block when necessary, and I would say play a little bit more aggressive because you want to try to present on hits to take tempo, and this is when going to like the Met-X and the Expedite. Any way to build more of a board presence of your items is how you can maintain tempo within that game. That's what you're looking to do. Beat a Dash that has more items out than your opponent. And then against Maxx Nitro, this one you're gonna have to be playing really tight, mostly because your items don't block. You know, you gotta know when you can block and when you can present on hits to make them block, and you're just trying to make Maxx not be hyper aggressive. You're trying to find ways to make Maxx slow down a little bit. If at all else you need to just block him out and then shoot your gun on your turn, that's totally fine too. You're gonna be playing a lot of items out anyways, so you should be kind of banking some counters on that gun anyhow. Let's talk about our last hero, Maxx Nitro. You want to, here's the draft recap, you want to try to get some Hyperdriver synergy out there. There's tons of those cards. We'll talk about which ones to look for. Then you want to look for your red boost cards just to get the maximum amount of damage, since you are going through your deck faster than any of the other heroes. You still can run items. Boom Grenades, Overload Scripts are like the best ones to try to grab. And this hero, you only need about 6 to 8 blues. You do want a bit of blues so you can kind of work with this Hyperdriver, but you don't need it. You can build it a few different ways, and it is the easiest to draft. And you want to look to win off of explosive turn setup. So this is like putting a big shot in your arsenal, getting that turn where you're going to be boosting twice and then coming in with that big shot at the end. You know, getting Hyperdrivers out to help get you resources for those turns. There's a lot of ways to make these type of turns happen, and that's what you're looking to do. Let's get into the A-graded Maxx Nitro cards. What cards we should look for first. Obviously, Maximum Velocity, Moonshot, Twin Drive. These are all very good cards to look for first. You know, we're looking for cards that have boost in them. Bull Bar, this is a card that has boost and works with our Hyperdriver and has overpower, so we really, really like this card. Bull Bar is very, very good. Big Shot, Burn Rubber, Smash and Grab. These are our big payoff cards. These cards are 3 for 8 or 3 for 7 with on hits. We like that. That's what we're going for. Past that, we're looking just for like Hyperdriver synergy. So Jumpstart Red, Rev Up Red, maybe Crankshaft and Big Bertha Red. These are fine cards. We want the red versions because these are the cards that are going to work best with our Hyperdrivers, as well as getting the most damage through.
I would say these are about our A graded cards. There is a lot of pumps like quick fire, gas up, recharge that work with hyperdriver synergy as well. But these cards tend to get wheeled, so you can get them in the second go around of the pack. So I would count these more as like B graded cards, maybe even C graded cards. I try to get a lot of red boost attacks first. Okay, let's get into Maxx Nitro's matchups. So against Teklovossen, you're going to want to pitch stack. So you're going to want to kind of keep an idea of what cards you're pitching in order to see them later on, because against Teklovossen, you want to make sure you're always coming in with some sort of red boost attacks. So this might mean instead of coming in with that red attack at the end, instead pitching it to use Maxx Nitro's ability to make a hyperdriver and come in with Banksy is the move to use instead. Another reason why you'd want to do that is because you do want to try to attack with Banksy most every turn. Banksy has an on hit of effect, so it does demand a block, otherwise you'll get a steam counter. But it also allows you to have another attack that doesn't take a card away from your deck. You don't need a boost to attack with Banksy. You do want to set up big turns in your arsenal. So these are turns that have cards like Big Shot, Burn Rubber, Smash or Grab that you put in your arsenal. But if you didn't get any of them, maybe you just have a Big Bertha. So you can come in with like 2 boost cards and then a Big Bertha at the end. That can work as well. As well as you can just set up like a boom grenade in the arsenal and wait till you have a turn that you can attack with at least 2 boost attacks in your Banksy to keep that boom grenade around. Or if you can come in with 3 boost attacks and a Banksy, that's a great boom grenade type turn where you're forcing your opponent's hands. So those are big turns that you want to try to set up in the arsenal. And then you want to save Overload and Recursion for the late game. Recursion being the red backup protocol to be able to get a big attack. Maybe it's a Big Shot that you can get later on. Or maybe it's a Bull Bar or a Hydraulic Press. These are good Overload cards that you want to try to use to close out a game at the very end. Against Dash Database, this one's fairly easy. You just want to play aggressively. She does start with 2 less life, as well as she has a lot of cards that don't block. So just get in there aggressive, play your normal game plan, I would say. And then against the Mirror, against Maxx Nitro, your big turns from your arsenal are going to be your tempo changers. So kind of like when I mentioned with Teklovossen, those Big Shot turns, those Smash and Grab turns, those Boom Grenade turns, those Overload Script turns, just any of those turns that are going to just get in big damage, especially if they don't block. That is what's going to be the tempo changing. You should also know that in a Maxx Nitro Mirror, what can easily happen is both you guys just dealing damage to each other. You both are taking each other down. You're maybe blocking with 1 card maximum until you get to lethal, and then all of a sudden it becomes very, very grindy, and it gets to where you are even going to your pitch stack. So you don't have to pitch stack in the Mirror so much, but it can get to the point where you'll see cards come back around because you'll be blocking quite a bit. Kind of keep that in mind. If you see it's going that way, kind of play it like Teklovossen, where you're trying to set up that recursion for the late game to help finish it off. That is the Bright Lights draft overview. It's kind of impossible to cover it all, but I hope that was a little bit more detailed for you guys. Overall, go have some fun. Practice, practice, practice. I hope this helps you out in your armories, in your pro quests, and in worlds. So thanks guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. But until then, keep on Batman.
Do you like this shirt? Well, you can get them at fleshandbaubles.com. You can even use our promo code SNEEP for 15% off your entire order. They got shirts, they got keychains, and they got more to come. So check them out, fleshandbaubles.com. Let's get back to the video.